Hi, I'm Alexis, welcome to Alexis Guitars. This is part 5 of my Great Guitar Build Off 2021 scratch build, and this has been a really fun one to do. In this episode, I'm going to be applying the stain and the oil to the guitar. I'm going to be installing most of the hardware, and I'm also going to be doing the electronics. So basically, these are all of the jobs that I've been waiting to do since starting this thing. I'm really happy with how the guitar's turning out, so let's just get straight to it. So I've got the tape applied now, and that was just precautionary. I think the main thing I can do to avoid any stain coming over the sides or dripping where it shouldn't go is just being careful when applying it and starting from the middle and working my way out. At least that's what I've seen on every video. So I've done a few stain tests, and this is a strip of the same veneer, maple veneer I used for the body. Now you saw, if you've seen that episode, I had to sand this down so much. There is still flame, you can see, but I'm not expecting as much vibrance 3D flame as this. So in terms of the colors, this is 2 coats of cherry. Now I don't want a red guitar, although this looks beautiful, but I don't want this guitar to be red. I wanted it to be like a yellowy amber. So this is 2 stains of amber, and I think that looks awesome. I think the more I apply, the deeper amber it's going to go and the less yellowy, but I love this yellow, it's so vibrant. This was a test of 1 stain of cherry, sanded back and then applied some amber. And I think I didn't sand the cherry back enough, but it's a nice orangey, kind of like a pale orange color. My worry is that if I use this and keep applying more stain to it, it's just going to turn brown, and I don't want a brown guitar. And this was mixed half and half, so I've got a water-based dye. I'm using this dye here from Guitar and Woods, I think the company's called. And I mixed 16 drops of cherry and 16 drops of amber into the proportionate amount of water, and I got a similar effect to this one here. It's nice, but I love this, so I'm going to be doing a amber, just amber, and I'm going to see what it looks like, especially with these glue streaks as well, which I think you have to watch episode 3 to know the story behind that. So enough jibber jabber. Let's get to it. This is the 17th and last coat. I'm out of the last bit of dye that I had, and I am loving this. So I'm going to let this dry. Obviously when it dries up it's going to be a bit less vibrant, but I'm hoping that after, I'm not sure how long I'm going to leave it to dry, but after drying for a few days at least, maybe a week, we'll see if I can wait that long, a few days at least, I'll apply some oil on, some crimson finishing oil. And hopefully that'll bring a bit of vibrancy back into it. So before I go any further with the body, like I said, this needs to really dry off. I'm going to move to the neck, and I need to do the same thing to the headstock. So I've just applied my 7th and probably final coat of amber dye onto the headstock, and I'm happy with the colour. It's a deep amber colour and it matches the body nicely, so I'm going to leave it at this, I think. I'm just going to leave it to dry for a while, and by a while I mean a few days, and then I'll apply oil finish onto the whole neck. And maybe even the fretboard. I haven't decided how I'm going to finish the fretboard yet. So just a quick close-up of the headstock. It's not the neatest job at all, as you can tell. So around all of the tuner holes there's some chipping, which, I mean, to me isn't such a big deal because the washers, the metal rings, are going to cover that. The thing that is a little bit of a shame, it's starting to not show as much with all of the dye, but there's a little bit here a little strip where the stain doesn't really take, and that's because that's actually a thin layer of glue. Now, in order to get the headstock to the right thickness, I used 2 veneers which I glued on top of each other, and up here, as they curved up, I had to sand and file away until it was a nice smooth transition. And what I've got here at the top is that that little area between the top veneer and the bottom veneer where there's a little bit of glue sandwiched in between, and that's what's on show, and that's why it's not taking the stain too well. Overall though, it looks good enough to me, so I'm going to let this dry and take it from there. So I couldn't resist, I removed the tape from the sides, and it still needs to dry. I'm going to leave it to dry a little bit more, but it's a pretty clean job, so I'm really happy with that. There's a couple areas where the dye bled over. There's a little bit here which I need to scrape away, and generally over here there's a few little splodges, and somewhere over here, there we go, and over here there's a couple more bits where I was a bit sloppy when I was applying the paint. But other than that, I think this is a really cool. I really love the contrast. I was worried that there wasn't going to be enough of a contrast between the outer and the veneer, but it highlights it really well. So, as much as I want to just stick some oil on this, I need to wait a few days. Well, first I need to clean it up over here and where I showed you, and then I need to apply some oil. But first I need to just let it dry off. So it's going to test my patience, but it's going to be worth it. So this is 4 coats of Crimson High Build finishing oil, and I couldn't be happier. I really love the finish. The body feels so smooth. I only sanded this down to about 400 grit, so not the smoothest sandpaper or grit out there, but the finish is so nice. It's really smooth, it feels great, and there's a nice shine to it. Let me see if I can get it in the light without showing too much of the messy garage. There we go. It's got a really nice shine to it. Even though it's far from a gloss finish, it just feels and looks fantastic. And all of the grain, all of the flame is highlighted, which is fantastic. And what's cool is that this veneer has maintained that 3D effect. Even though I sanded it down so much, when I move the camera around, different bits of the flame get highlighted. Like from here, you can see all of the lovely flame up there. When I move in the middle, it could also be the light as well, reflection, but you can see different lines get accentuated, different angles. So I'm super happy with this. I think it looks fantastic. And moving on to the neck, that also feels great. The color matches a little bit, could have been a better fit, but for me it's fine. And more importantly, the feel is great. It feels nice and smooth. So I did 4 coats of oil on the fretboard as well to finish that up. And I also put oil on top of the frets because I had already fretted this guitar, this neck. So I'm going to need to polish those frets up again. But the main thing is the back here feels fantastic. It's so smooth. I absolutely love it. I think oak looks beautiful. I mean, it doesn't get used much in mainstream guitar builds. I don't know why. I think it looks fantastic. I'm sure there are reasons, but I'm happy to be using it. So for now, oh, also, you haven't seen this, but here's the backplate cover. I haven't dyed it. This is actually the second one I made. I'll talk more about this at the end and explain what happened there. But this is going to be the black backplate cover at the back. So in terms of the next steps, what I want to do is paint the insides of the pickup cavities and also the electronics cavity. Now, I've never done this before, but I want to make my own shielding paint or conductive paint using graphite and black acrylic paint. Now, like I said, I've never done this before, but I saw a video about it and I thought that looks fun, and if it works, it's a nice way to save a bit of money. So I'm going to give it a go, and if it doesn't work, then I'll just stick to normal shielding, because I'm not sure whether I'm going for humbuckers or P90s, I mean humbucker size P90s. So time will tell, but I also just like that finish, that the effect of just a black pickup cavities. I think it looks nicer than this mess, to be honest. So I've coated the two pickup cavities with some black acrylic paint and some graphite. Went over with my multimeter, and there's no sound for continuity, but there is some kind of reading. So I'm kind of on the right tracks, just not quite there. So I'm not convinced. The pickup cavities is mostly for aesthetics. I really like the look, and I think it looks a lot nicer and smarter than, or classier than the just bare wood on the inside. It also kind of hides how messy the routing job at the bottom is as well. Now, that was mainly aesthetics. Like I said, I do eventually want to have a some kind of conductive paint in the pickups cavity, or the electronics cavity, sorry. But I'm not convinced with the job I've done with this. So I'm going to buy some actual some actual conductive paint and get that done properly. I don't want to do any more mistakes, basically. I don't want to risk ruining anything else. But here you go. This is my guitar. You can see there's a little slight discoloration there. That's where a bit of black paint spilled over, unfortunately, and I had to really rub it away because the graphite was really not going away, basically. So I had to really rub it, and there's a little bit of discoloration there. So I think I'm just going to get a tiny dash of oil and just do that tiny spot and just see whether that brings a bit more of the color back. Thought I'd do a very quick update just because I've attached the neck. I haven't screwed it in. I just wanted to I had to sand it down a little bit on the side so it was a nice snug fit. It was a bit too wide, so fixed that now. I applied a little bit more oil here, and now the discoloration is I mean, if you look for it, you will find it, but generally it's okay. And I love the kind of general honey color of all of this. I love the light brown of the fretboard. I think it matches the amber, or fits with the amber really nicely. So I think what's left is to screw the neck in, install the hardware, i.e. the tuning pegs, and electronics. So the neck is screwed on, and there's a pretty good contact all the way. Really happy with this. It's really coming together. Here's both pickups installed. I got a little bit of graphite over here which I need to rub away somehow without ruining anything, but overall it's all coming together. So what's left is wiring it all up. Oh, and before I forget, I need to drill the strap lock or strap buttons, and I think that's everything I need to do. Oh, obviously the nut needs to go in, and when I string it up I'm going to find the location for the string tree. So there's a little bit of a jump from the last clip you saw to now. Basically, I had filmed myself doing the whole electronics, but when I plugged it in, I realized two things. First, that the bridge pickups seemed to be faulty, which I need to look into a little bit more, and there seemed to be a grounding issue. So I replaced the bridge pickup with essentially the exact same pickup, just with a pickup cover, and because it's what I had lying around. It's a Iron Gear Hot Slag. It's a pickup that I know very well. I really like it. It's a nice, bright, high output pickup. Anyway, all of that means I don't actually have any footage of me wiring up the final version of this. So let me just talk through what's happening electronics wise. So what I've got is pretty standard. It's a volume, tone and three-way selector switch. The volume knob is a push-pull, so it splits the humbuckers into single coils. Not really a feature I tend to use, but it's such an unintrusive and easy mod to do that I figured just why not. The main mod, which you don't normally see on a lot of guitars, but I love this mod, is this little toggle switch here. Now this is a straight to output or bypass switch. It's not a kill switch. So when the switch is down, everything is normal. And when you flick the switch up, then the sound or the signal bypasses all of the controls and goes straight to the output. It's a mod I really like to do, and I've got a few videos explaining how to do that. So that being said, here we are. The guitar is almost complete. I'd say it's about 95% complete. I'll explain the things that still need to happen a little bit later. So let's go through the finish first of all. Now I absolutely love this amber color. I think it turned out great and I really like the oil finish. The oil finish leaves a nice smooth surface and really highlights all of the flame on the maple veneer. So I am so happy with how this has turned out. I also really love the amber color with a natural contour. I normally see contours with kind of more of a contrast of a dark color and a natural contour, but I really like this kind of lighter colors on both. I think there's enough of a contrast and I think it looks a little bit more, I wouldn't say unique, I'm not the first one to do this, but it's certainly a bit more unusual and I think that's really cool. Another thing I love about the finish is because I dyed this amber, these streaks of where I had to sand through the veneer just seem like they fit in with the guitar somehow. They look like they still might look like a mistake, but they blend in a lot more and I think that's really cool. And so now it's a nice unique feature of the guitar rather than an obvious mistake. One thing I will say about the oil finish is as much as I love the results and I think it looks and feels great, I'm not too keen on the whole spontaneous combustion thing if you leave the rags out to dry and don't dispose of them correctly. Don't get me wrong, I disposed of my rags correctly. It's something I was super paranoid about, so I made sure I did it well, or did it appropriately rather. But for an amateur builder, it's a bit of a faff to do that every time, to kind of worry about that. So I'm actually going to be looking into alternative finishes which are a bit safer and easier to use, but also might have similar results to this. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below what I could use. The thing that comes to my mind, which I'm really curious to try, is shellac. It seems like a safe, relatively easy finish to apply that's kind of hassle-free, and I really like the results from what I've seen on YouTube. So my next builds might be shellac finishes, just so I don't have to worry about everything going up in flames. Anyway, so this is 4 coats of the Crimson High Build finishing oil, and I was really happy with it and would be, but the problem is I decided to be a little bit ambitious and also a bit cheap, and rather than pay for actual conductive paint, I tried to make my own with graphite, and I just got graphite everywhere. So there was a few stains on the top which I've managed to wipe away, but where I have wiped it away, the finish is a little bit duller, it's less shiny, and maybe slight discoloration in some areas. So I might actually, before or in between this episode and the next episode, just do one more coat of oil just on the top here, where it can just do with a bit of a touch up. The other thing is the neck and the headstock. Now I absolutely love this neck. Now I've turned the guitar around. I'll talk about this monstrosity in a moment. Let's focus on the neck first of all. This is a super thick neck, and I've strung up this guitar for a few reasons. First of all, so I can see the intonation, and yes, it is pretty well intonated. It's not 100% perfect, but it's absolutely playable and usable, and I would use this in a band or jam session. It's not that badly out, so I'm super relieved about that. I also strung it up because I need to find the position of the string trees, and it's easier to do when you have the strings on to see exactly where to drill the holes and place it. At the moment I haven't got any string trees in, so that's another job I need to do between now and next episode. And I also strung it up because I couldn't resist. I really wanted to see what this thing is like. The neck feels super comfortable. I oil finished the back of the neck and also the fretboard as well, so that gives it a bit of protection, and it feels super smooth, really nice, really happy with that. Now onto the monstrosity at the back, this horrible plastic pick guard. I tried making. So I just went to review the footage which I recorded, and unfortunately my microphone died on me while I was recording it. So I hope you can bear with me for the final couple minutes while I re-record this just using my standard microphone on my mobile. Not going to be the best audio, but it'll just be the last couple minutes. I was just about to talk through this monstrosity of a pick guard cover, of a electronics cavity cover. Now I tried to make my own twice out of wood, and the first one I did bowed massively. It was a U shape, so absolutely useless. The second one I did actually functionally was okay, covered up the hole nicely, but it just looked atrocious. So in the end I said, you know what, it's a skill that I need to develop, and I will eventually make one for this guitar because I love this back. I think the back with the dark wood stripe here, I like the grain of the Douglas fir. This thing is just a bit of an eyesore. But at the end of the day, it's just the electronics cavity cover, and I don't have time in this competition to make a new one. So at some stage in the future I will, for my Great Guitar Build-Off entry. Unfortunately, I'm going to have this ugly cover at the back. So next episode will be my final one. It will be episode 6. There'll be a montage of all the work so far, plus a few extra jobs I need to do, namely the string trees. I need to lower the nut a little bit, and I need some final bits of hardware for the knobs and the selector switch. I'll also be doing a sound test so you can hear this thing. I've already given it a go and I'm really happy with it, but you'll have to wait till next episode to hear it. Until then, if you enjoy this video, do me a favour, hit that thumbs up button, drop me a comment below telling me what you think. If you have any tips for me, I'd really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel and enjoy this content, please do consider subscribing. Alright, that's all from me for today. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time.